destroys houses, supply of houses decreases, meaning it shifts. Now, initial rent was 800. But after the incident, supply decreased and price went up to 1,000. Price of the rent. So initially rent was 800. This was your quantity. Supply decreased. Rent became $1,000. Government forced landlords to keep the price low. To keep the price low at 400. Low at 800. So when there was a decrease in supply, the price went up to 1,000 and quantity decreased, right? So this is Q1, Q2. Now the government is saying that they're forcing landlords to keep the price at 800, not 400. Forcing price to stay at 800. So what happens is that quantity supply decreases at 800. Now when quantity supply decreases at 800, there is a shortage. Suppliers are not supplying the houses at 800 price. They cannot afford to. So they're not supplying it. They would rather not rent it out. This creates a shortage. Do you see what's happening? What's your name in the back? Yeah.
Rusty.
Rusty.
Yeah.
Is it making sense, the steps?
Yeah. Like, how do you tell us the shortage on the graph?
This is the
from
shortage.
shape? Okay.
This area is the shortage. Here, quantity demand is way, at this price level,
Oh, yeah. Alright, I got you.
at this price level, the quantity demand is way higher than quantity supply. At this price level. At this price level, it would have been equal. Quantity demand would have been equal to quantity supply.
Okay.
But at this price level, quantity demand is way higher than quantity supply, and that's the shortage. So instead of forcing landlords to keeping the price at $800, a better way is to subsidize. Better way is to subsidize landlords for $200. What happens is when government subsidizes landlord for $200, landlords are still renting out the place for $800, so people or consumers who want the apartment can take it for 800, but landlords are also getting the 200 from government, so it's compensating the landlords, right? So this is a better way, because this way you are back at the 1,000 point where landlords are able to supply it because they're getting that subsidy, so they're able to supply the apartments. And people are also able to buy because they're only paying 800, the rest is the government is paying. Yeah.
Would there still be a shortage?
No, because the transaction is happening at 1,000 now. Even though people are paying 800, the government is paying the rest of the 200. So this is like the landlords are getting this price basically. 800 from people and 200 from government, so there won't be a shortage. The shortage is happening because they were forcing them to rent it out at 800. They were forcing them to rent it out at a low price. Suppliers did not want it to rent out at 800, so they exited the market. They were like, no. So when government stepped in and gave suppliers or landlords 200 extra, now their total that they're getting is 1,000. So we are at this equilibrium point where they're supplying and quantity demand is also equal to quantity supply. So so they're able to supply. So you're saying that wouldn't there still be a shortage, is your question?
Well, yeah, because the customers, they'd still see like $800 for rent, so everyone would still want to go out and buy all these houses for 800.
Yeah, but supply has increased now. So the reason why we had a shortage is because suppliers were not supplying the house. But now, so at 800, they stopped supplying. But at 1,000, so they're still paying 800, but the suppliers are getting 1,000, so you see how this I drew that it's going down? It's not going down, it's staying at this price. So we're basically saying we're keeping this price artificially, this is like artificially 800. You can say that this new 1,000 price is we're keeping it artificially at 800 to reach the equilibrium. I see what you're saying, like, there'll still be like high demand. Yeah, so there is high demand, but there's also high supply. Because they're getting subsidies, so the supply is also high. So they will meet equilibrium. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yes, they're at 800, there is high demand, but supply is also high.
Yeah.
Because they're getting the subsidy.
You'd still get like the $20 subsidy.
Yeah.
You'd have like more money to
Right.
make more houses.
So it's like artificially, you're keeping it at this point. Make sense? Okay. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of a way to word my question, because I'm a bit lost, but I think I know what you're trying to say. So there wouldn't be a shortage because if we were to look, if this was a different graph, if there were two graphs, right? And if the supply, if the quantity, demand and quantity supply are equal at 1,000.
Yeah, like this point.
Yeah, that point. Then it's not stated that the price is that the customers pay 800, but the government also pays the landlords 200,
So they're keeping it artificially at 1,000. So supply is higher now because government has stepped in and they're keeping it at 1,000. Basically, when supply is low, like in this kind of scenario, government can give subsidy and say keep the supply high. So suppliers, okay, well, they're not getting it from customers, but they're getting it from government, so they can still keep it high. Okay, so this kind of scenario applies to a lot of different things. when there is a shortage, you can increase supply by giving subsidy. In this case, it was 200. And still keep prices low for the people or for the consumers. In this case, consumers are still paying 800. Are still paying 800, right? Another way to achieve the same kind of result would be to decrease, another alternative to prevent shortage is to decrease demand, which will decrease the equilibrium price. So how can you decrease demand in this hurricane circumstance? So in this case, you can decrease demand, shift the demand curve by providing housing, residence arrangement, for hurricane affected people, by the government. So that would be an alternative, but it would achieve kind of the same kind of result. It would prevent shortage. If government steps in and provides these temporary residence arrangement for hurricane victims, suppliers won't be able to charge a high price because there are other alternatives. So it will keep price low for the consumers or for the victims. So these kind of alternatives exist in other scenarios too, where I'm going to erase this. So gas prices are generally too high. Too high, right? Republicans say, drill baby drill. Meaning increase the supply of gas, increase local supply, Democrats, they say use alternative fuels. Or substitutes. Which decreases demand for gas. So electric cars, etc. But both kind of achieve the same result. Both of them are keeping the prices low. Both achieve same results. Keeps gas prices low. You're not writing down? So how many times we have heard this debate on TV? Republicans saying, you know, we should drill the gas here and not buy gas from international countries or because they're expensive. If we drill it here at home, it will be much cheaper and it will increase the supply. Democrats say use alternative fuels, electric cars, etc. That will also decrease the demand for gas and it will decrease the price. So achieves the same result, keeps the price of gas low. So same way here. If government provides alternative residence for hurricane victims, the prices